Never forgive these 3 betrayals in relationships. Let's be honest, ladies, not every betrayal deserves another chance. And I'm not talking about being bitter, unforgiving, or walking away from a relationship the moment things get difficult. I'm talking about the kind of betrayal that changes how you see a person. Because sometimes you forgive a man because you love him, only to discover that your forgiveness has become permission for him to hurt you again. So today, we're talking about 3 betrayals you should take extremely seriously. And stay with me because the third one is the betrayal many women normalize until they no longer recognize themselves. 1. Cheating and deliberate disloyalty. Let's start with the obvious one, cheating. And cheating isn't always just sleeping with another woman. Sometimes it starts with secret conversations, hidden messages, emotional intimacy, dating apps, flirting, deleted chats, or giving another woman the attention and energy he promised to give to you. The problem isn't only what he did. The problem is that he knew it would hurt you and chose to do it anyway. Now, can a relationship survive infidelity? Yes, some couples rebuild after it. But forgiveness should never mean pretending nothing happened. If he cheats, takes responsibility, becomes completely transparent, cuts off the outside relationship, and genuinely does the work to rebuild trust, that's a different situation. But if he cheats, blames you, says you made him do it, hides more details, or expects you to get over it because he said sorry, ladies, that's not repentance, that's damage control. And this brings us to the next betrayal, because cheating rarely exists comfortably alongside honesty. 2. Repeated lying and deception. One lie can be a mistake. A pattern of lying is a character problem. If you're constantly discovering that he wasn't where he said he was, wasn't talking to who he said he was talking to, wasn't telling you the truth about money, women, his past, or his behavior, you eventually stop feeling like his partner. You start feeling like his investigator, and that's exhausting. You shouldn't have to become a detective in your own relationship. The most dangerous part about repeated deception isn't even the individual lie. It's what the lying does to trust. You start questioning everything. Is he really working late? Who was that woman? Why did he delete that message? Is this story even true? And eventually you become anxious, suspicious, and emotionally exhausted, not necessarily because you're naturally insecure, but because his behavior has trained you to not trust what he says. One mistake can be discussed, one bad decision can sometimes be repaired, but when deception becomes a lifestyle, you have to ask yourself a serious question. Am I in a relationship with a man I can trust, or am I constantly trying to uncover the truth? And once trust starts disappearing, there's another betrayal that becomes even more damaging: disrespect. Ladies, never confuse love with accepting humiliation. A man who constantly insults you, mocks you, embarrasses you in front of people, exposes private things about your relationship, ridicules your appearance, or deliberately makes you feel small, is not simply being playful. There's a difference between playful teasing and systematic disrespect. And if he repeatedly humiliates you in public, then laughs it off with, "Can't you take a joke?" Pay attention, because sometimes the joke isn't the problem, the contempt behind the joke is. You can disagree with your partner, you can argue, you can have difficult conversations, but there should still be a basic level of dignity. And ladies, don't become so desperate to keep a relationship that you start negotiating against your own self-respect. Because the moment you repeatedly accept treatment that destroys your dignity, something inside you begins to change. You become quieter. You stop expressing yourself. You start walking on eggshells. You stop recognizing the confident woman you used to be. And that's when forgiveness becomes dangerous. Not because forgiveness itself is wrong, but because forgiveness without accountability simply creates a cycle. If this conversation resonates with you, take a second to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and tell me in the comments, which of these 3 betrayals do you believe is the hardest to recover from? I genuinely want to hear your perspective. And remember this, you don't have to hate someone to decide that their behavior is no longer acceptable in your life. You can love someone and still leave. You can forgive someone and still maintain a boundary. You can understand why someone hurt you without volunteering to be hurt the same way again. Because maturity isn't about becoming unforgiving, it's about becoming wise enough to know what deserves another chance and what should never become your normal.